doing?
Good, man. How you doing, Damon?
I'm real good, real good. Good catching up with you, man. Appreciate you taking a few minutes for me today.
Yeah, no problem.
So, obviously, man, I know the fight's not just around the corner, but it's finally been scheduled. Tickets on sale. Is it starting to feel like fight time again?
Getting close to it. You know, I'm a pretty low-key guy, so I don't want to get too amped up. So it really starts getting pretty close. So I'm pretty chill right now still, but I know as it gets closer and closer, I get more amped up.
Yeah. I know it's rare that champions actually get to fight 3 times in a year. This will be your third fight in 2012. Were you happy with the schedule, the fact that you are getting to fight 3 times, or was there any hesitation in saying, maybe I would have liked to have a little more time off, or how are you feeling about when you got literally, kind of back-to-back camps here?
I do like having longer time in between fights to get better, improve. I've been a professional, martial artist or whatever, mixed martial artist for 6 years. A lot of these guys have been, fighting MMA for way longer than I have. I got a lot of catch up to do. I got a lot of time to make up for. That means that I like to actually not go from training camp to training camp to training camp to training camp. I go to training camp, have time in between, actually get better, improve my skills, and then go into the next fight. But that being said, I'm on record of having said it. I want to stick to it. I got a little catch up to do to Anderson Silva, and in Johnny Bones Jones. I got a little catch up to do. However many Anderson gets, so having fights, 3 times in a year, I'll catch up to him, and that means only 3 more years. I should be caught up to him.
I know you mentioned to me before the first fight with Frankie that, that was a long-term goal. You wanted to be the guy to break Anderson's record. How, goal-oriented people, I think it's important to have goals and have those ideas in mind. It's like saying I want to buy a house by the time I'm 30 or whatever it is. How important is that to you as far as legacy and to your title run to have goals like that, to say, yeah, I want to be the guy to break Anderson Silva's record. I want to hold the title for that long.
I think it's good to have goals. I think I caught a lot of flack for some reason. I caught a lot of flack when I said, "Oh, I want to break Anderson Silva's record." Like you're like, "Oh, you're ridiculous for thinking that. You can't beat Anderson Silva's record. You haven't defended your belt 1 time yet. You're silly. What are you talking like that for?" Like, wow, guys, really? Like you guys are mad at me for having long-term goals? Like I want to be, the best ever, and one of my goals is to break Anderson's record. For title defense and all that, like, you guys seem to be very upset about that. Like, I'm sorry, I apologize if I offended you somehow, but I do have long-term goals. I like to set my goals high, and then go out and get them done. I think it's good to have goals in life. It's good to have goals. You want to own a house before the age of 30. I think it's good to set that goal.
Yeah.
Set it high. Oh, I want to have this, blah blah. I think it's good for that. It makes people do better and be better. It makes people understand that there's a deadline, a sense of urgency to doing stuff.
Yeah. And I know that you've been a guy your whole career, you've had that. I remember talking to you back in the WEC days of being WEC champion, and then it was being UFC champion, and now that you're there, it seems like those goals keep stepping up, and you've accomplished them all that you've had set forth, so why not a bigger one? Why not the Anderson Silva goal, right?
Exactly. Hey, unless you're really pushing yourself and trying to go bigger and better, I think you're doing a disservice to yourself. You want to be a Mundial champion. You want to be a black belt and win Pan Am. You want to win worlds. You want to win Europeans, and you should bust your butt and train like it.
Definitely. Let me ask you a question, because we know the fight that's coming up, and I want to talk about Nate Diaz in a second. But I want to ask you this, Benson, because you've had 2 fights in a row with Frankie Edgar. Be honest, man, because I asked Frankie the same question when it was Gray Maynard. How happy are you to see a name on the other end of the bout agreement that's not Frankie Edgar? And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean moving on to something different.
Oh, it is nice, anytime you're kind of stuck doing rematches, it can be a bit of a drag, a bit of a downer. Like, oh man, I like to fight for my fresh challenge. Again, no disrespect to Frank Yeager. He's He was a great champ. He is a great fighter. So definitely no disrespect to him, but it is nice to see, somebody else's name across there, another challenge, a new challenge, a fresh challenge to face, especially when that challenge is tough. When that challenge is somebody like Nate Diaz, who's, is going to throw down and bring it like he does every fight. It's nice. It's refreshing to have somebody else.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I know we talked before your fight on Fox with Clay Guida, and we both agreed, and I stated it many, many times, Benson, that I thought you guys should have been on the main card, and I think everybody agreed after the fight was over you guys should have been on the main card. All those things are gone and past, but does it kind of feel like a little bit of validation that now you get the chance to headline this big Fox card, what I believe will be the biggest Fox card ever, with you and Nate leading the way? I mean, is it a cool feeling to kind of feel that validation of being the champion and getting this kind of spotlight in your career?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's nice because, there was so much hype about the first UFC card on Fox. First UFC card on main TV, free TV and blah, blah. There was so much hype behind that. So it was so much talked about. And then when it came around, I wasn't on Fox. I wasn't aired. Clay and I weren't aired on Fox. So I was sad. I won't lie. I was very sad about that. And it was nice kind of being redeemed. Now I'm, Nate and I are headlining Fox card. The only thing that I think could make it better is having freaking heavyweights be the co-main event below us. That would be a freaking feather in my cap. I would love that. But, it's cool. It's definitely cool. It's definitely, I like the fact that, we are the main event, and that, especially from the first Fox card, I was sad, man. I'm not gonna lie. I was very, very sad about that. But again, I didn't complain. I didn't say anything. I was like, okay, cool. Not gonna be shown on Fox. All right, sounds good. I'm not gonna throw like a hissy fit or nothing like that. It is what it is. I'm not gonna try and make a movement and hashtag get Rita and myself on the Fox card. Blah blah. I'm a company guy, so that's what they decide, and boom, that's what it is. Now it's nice to be redeemed and be the main event.
Yeah. Let me ask you this with the matchup before we talk about the fight itself. I want to talk about the personalities in this matchup, Benson, because I've known you for a lot of years, and I know that you're a guy very much like myself. You're into comic books. You're a guy who likes to stay home and watch good movies. Obviously, you're a very faithful man. These kind of things. You're not the party guy. You're not you're not that kind of guy. But also, when it comes to interviews, can't really remember you ever saying a bad word about an opponent or talking smack, whatever you want to call it. And Nate Diaz, it comes from a great lineage of fighters. Cesar Gracie, obviously the team he works with, Jake Shields, Gilbert Melendez, but we know the Diaz brothers' approach in a fight. And I know you're going to be asked this a million times, Benson, but I got to ask you, is that maybe the best storyline about this, is the contrasting personalities that you and Nate have, and also in the cage, dealing with that Diaz personality. Let's be honest, I know you're going to smile about this, but I know you're ready for that, but it's going to be something different that maybe you haven't dealt with before.
I think for sure it will be played up quite a bit, like our personality differences. Nate being more like a bad guy, and me like a good guy, and all that stuff. To that, I say, I think Nate gets a bad rap. Talking to a lot of the UFC behind-the-scenes people, Karen, Heidi, Melissa, a lot of people who work for the UFC behind the scenes, they say Nate's awesome. He is not a hard person to deal with at all. He shows up on time for any media obligations and that sort of stuff. He doesn't give him any problems. I think he gets a little bit of a bad rap because of his approach in the cage. Because in the cage, he does some antics that aren't exactly super sportsmanlike. But I don't think it was that different. He's fiery. He's emotional. He gets worked up, and he brings it every fight. I think I'm pretty much the same way. I'm fiery. I'm emotional. I get worked up. I bring in every fight. We get to express ourselves in a little bit different way. He expresses himself a little bit differently than I express myself. But we're pretty much the same. He came from a from not the greatest neighborhoods. I came from not the greatest neighborhoods. He likes to portray that image. I've chosen to not portray that image. I think I've chosen to not play that role, not play that part. He's chosen to play that role. But I think he gets a little bit of a bad rap. I think he's a good guy. He didn't have any problems with fighters like not in his weight class. Like I've seen him around. He's not like super disrespectful. He's kind of quiet, keeps to himself. So I don't know. I think it will be played up quite a bit. Our difference of personalities and kind of how we act inside the cage. But really, I don't see us as too different. I think we're actually a lot alike.
Yeah. Well, I know personality, they show a lot of that in the pre-fight stuff leading up to the fight. And I know a lot has been made recently, Benson, about, role models in MMA and being good role models for kids out there. And on Fox, maybe this is the biggest showcase you'll ever have for that. But do you look at, this opportunity beyond fighting? And what I mean by that is because of all the pre-fight stuff, we saw they did it with Junior and Kane for their fight. And I loved it. I mean, we really saw a different side of Junior Dos Santos. We learned a lot more about who he was as a person, his family, those kind of things. Do you look forward to opening up for this Fox show? And because you're a guy who has a different background, like I said, man, I mean, I love it. Of course, you're a comic book guy. You're not the guy going out and partying and drinking and doing that. I'd probably more likely find you at the comic book store than I ever would a bar. So, I mean, do you look forward to showing people out there that you can be a fighter, you can be the champion, you can be the best, but there's no stereotype that you have to fit into?
When you word it like that, I say for sure. Having a stage and having a bigger stage, on Fox, all the hype that they're going to put into it, as many interviews I'm doing and all that sort of stuff. Having that stage, it is really cool. It's awesome to have that stage. Two, I think you have to be smart about it also. You have that when you are on that stage. Be smart about what you say. Realize that there's millions. Literally, think about it. Millions of people are listening to what you're saying. So be smart about it. Don't say anything stupid. Know that you are a role model, whether you want to be or not. And I do like having that chance. I do enjoy having a bigger stage to get some of my ideals, my beliefs across. I'm not saying that my beliefs are perfect or my ideal are perfect, or I'm not saying that I'm a perfect guy. I make mistakes. I sin as much as anybody else does, if not more so. But it's nice to have that bigger stage to hopefully impact one or two people and help them in their lives. With a couple of decisions and help make them make better decisions, which will, can completely change the way their life goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, last thing, I'll get you out of here on this, Benson. I got to say, I watched your special on Fuel, the comic book special, and you were naming the athletes who remind you most of comic book characters. But I got to say, I got a bone to pick with you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, you said Shatterstar for yourself. I got to disagree. I did a little research on this, and I got ready for today. I think you most emulate Phantom X from X Factor. If you read, I know you read X Factor because he's got strength, speed, agility, and I think the misdirection, the illusion. I think you've got a great way of doing that because outside the cage, man, you're the nicest guy in the world, smile on your face at all times, but it's a whole other animal inside the cage. So I think you're more like Phantom X than Shatterstar. Just to throw that out there at you.
Dude, he capped the Kid Apocalypse. He's cold-blooded.
But see, that's the thing. In the cage, you're cold-blooded. It's outside the cage, you're the nicest guy in the world. But inside the cage, you can be cold-blooded.
I see your point there. Point taken.
That's what I'm saying. He's got multiple brains. He can go in a lot of different directions. I think that's like you, man. I think that fits you.
I think he hooked up with Psylocke too, so that's not bad right there. That's pretty cool.
I'm just saying. I'm throwing out some ideas here. Yeah. Well, Benson, buddy, it's always a pleasure to catch up, and especially to talk comics. I love when I can talk comics with other MMA guys, so it's always a pleasure to catch up, and definitely appreciate the time, man. Looking forward to December 5th, and it's going home again, man. You lived in Washington, so I know you got to be excited for that too.
Oh yeah, I'm super stoked, man. Lived in Washington, grew up there. featherweight, Tacoma, graduate high school. I'm stoked. All my boys and buddies and old high school friends are gonna be there. It's gonna be nice, man. It's gonna be real nice.
Definitely. Well, again, always a pleasure catching up, man. Best of luck the rest of the way in training, and sincerely, thank you for the time. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Cool. Thanks. No problem, Jamie.
All right, Benson. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Yep, later. Talk to you soon.